to a place called Stonehenge. So my first question is, Craig, whereabouts are you based?
I'm actually here in Boston. We actually have moved from Ohio to North Carolina to Boston, and it feels like we're getting about as east as possible.
Well, yeah, that's where the sun is, because we British are concerned about the weather.
No, we're actually about to go in about 5 months of winter here, and last year was the worst winter on record, highest snowfall totals. I think we had 214 inches. So, it is a beautiful day today, but I've got to take those as they come.
Yeah, we're due some snow as well, but I don't think 214 inches is going to be anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere near that. 21.4 perhaps. Right. Okay. Now, I had the pleasure.
Hey, Stephen, I wanted to ask one quick question. I apologize about this.
Sure.
I actually accidentally pushed recording. Are you going to need to get a hold of this recording for anything for your website or anything like that?
Yeah, there's no problem.
Okay. So if you're a co-host, will you be able to get a hold of it?
Yeah, we're both hosting this.
Okay. Perfect.
It will be sent after we finish the session. It can be replayed, and also we'll get an MP4 for
awesome.
doing podcasts.
I didn't know if I messed up by accidentally pressing the recording instead of you. So.
No. I normally forget to do it, so you're pressing it.
Perfect.
It is a great help.
Awesome.
Now, it's just 2 weeks ago that I saw Craig on the Blab, and he was talking about Relay, and he was very enthusiastic about it, and I thought I'll go and try that out. And the link was placed in the Blab itself, and I went and had a look, and I signed up, and for the last 2 weeks I've been using the system, and I'll let you explain how it came about. First of all, how did you actually decide to create Relay?
Well, I've definitely thank you for allowing me to come on first of all today. This is awesome. I go into a lot of these blabs, and the standard question in a lot of them are, what do you do? And what's been happening is when I tell people, like a sentence or so of what I'm working on, sometimes it divulges into like, oh wow, like how can we help you kind of get this out there, because it's a huge pain point for people. And I think that's a good segue to kind of say how it got formed. So for about 20 years, just had a birthday yesterday, by the way. And for 20 years, I've been working on 3D animation and graphic design, music, photography, and I've formed different businesses throughout my life. And one of the pain points that I've always identified with was time productivity in terms of those businesses, and just so much stuff to do. And I launched a podcast last year. It was called Modernpreneur, and I was interviewing a lot of people that were, doing crowdfunding and creating, these authentic businesses and having followings and selling ebooks and all this stuff. And they were truly, making an income doing this. And that was like amazing to me. So I interviewed, I think, 30 different people, finding out what they were doing. And a lot of the comments I got about the show were, who's creating your graphics for you, and can you help me do that? Because they kind of saw that I was doing some design, here on my show, as well as podcast cover art. And there was this shift in my brain where I was like, how can I've always wanted to help small businesses, but I never really had a scalable business that I could sink my teeth into. And there was definitely this shift where I was like, wow, if there's a way that I could help automate some of the more mundane tasks of design and make it really easy, I think that's something that I would like to tackle, over the course of the next couple of years. So I kind of stopped the podcast and moved into building a desktop version that actually was called Rapid Image, and had some people beta testing it. And from that, now it's grown into a full web-based app that we have an actual startup. So I can kind of go through any questions that you have along there, but that's kind of the full arc, and we can kind of pick it apart if you want.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, one of the things that interests me is how do you actually get going with a startup?
Well, it was very difficult for me. I think some people that have, created startups before are interested in that space, or maybe people that are younger than me that come into this. I think it's a little bit easier for them to kind of wrap their brain around doing a startup. It's still very difficult, but for me, I was transitioning from working with 20 people a year
Yeah.
doing design and photography based commissions. And I had to rewire my whole brain of creating something that was scalable, which was very, there was a mindset component to that, as well as creating something that would add value to a lot of people. And that was really difficult. So, there was a few key things for me. One was I knew that it was something that I had to be very interested in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would kind of give up on it. And the second thing was I started to realize very quickly that I had to have a team around me of people that supported what I was doing, both financially as well as, just mentally, like having someone that I could bounce ideas off of and give me actual feedback on it. So I started just to kind of, within getting to know people in Facebook and LinkedIn, I started just asking people, what do you think about this idea? Is this something valuable? And I think the most important thing that people skip in starting anything is they don't get the validation from people with their wallets. Like
Right. Okay.
they'll
Yeah.
ask a lot of people and they'll say, do you think this is an idea and this is something that's needed? And they may give you feedback as to, yes, this is a good idea or not. But if they're not like ready to pay you to help you build that thing, if that's the direction you want to go, as opposed to getting funding,
Yeah.
I bootstrapped this whole thing because I wanted people to see the value in it monetarily.
Okay.
And that was kind of what I did. I had those beta testers and I said, listen, normally people spend X dollars on this. Would you be willing to spend X dollars? And if I can get 30 people, I'm just going to build this version of this.
Okay.
And that's how it all started.
So it started as a cooperative, really.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of so a group of people with differing talents getting together to actually create something which was useful for people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people skip that stage, and then they have built something that nobody wants, or they spend $20,000 on an iPhone app that they think's a really great idea, and their buddies think is a great idea, but I think it's a less likely path to success in some ways.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I design software for a living.
Okay.
Will it be desktop-based SQL Server software? And if you write something and it's just you think it'd be good, doesn't necessarily mean it will be, because you're solving a problem you think exists and it might not.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, the thing about it is that when you're posting on Twitter and on Facebook and on LinkedIn, when you post, a graphic attached to your post brings more people, doesn't it? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think anybody that's using any sort of a social media newsfeed is noticing that people are putting in quotes, inspirations, product shots. People are going behind the scenes on Instagram, and these visual platforms speak. I think Instagram last month is now the biggest social media platform out there. I'm not sure what the stat is in terms of whether it's users or traffic or whatever that is, but I think that and Pinterest are pure case study examples that we are moving towards visual media. Facebook releasing the 3D video of Star Wars recently here. Everything is moving towards visual content, and anybody that's not creating visual content is going to be left behind, I think. Now, that being said, there's all kinds of forms of visual content, and it depends on what your audience is craving. You really have to ask the question why of, okay, I'm not just going to create visual content just to, keep up with the Joneses or whatever, but have an intention of why you're creating that content, and ask your audience and do the research as to where does my audience consume content and what's my goal. So I think it's easy to say that we're all moving towards visual content, and it is the highest ranking, most engaging content out there. But I think, yet again, I try and add these little nuggets in, but the thing that I've noticed is just putting up quotes of things isn't going to get you business. And that's why we've approached Relay with a very intentional purpose of having results focus components around that and analytics a little bit.
Yeah, I can see exactly where you're coming from. I mean, the thing is that if you're going to put the graphics out there, they've got to be professional quality. Otherwise, people will just pass them over. The other thing involved in that is that we're not all graphics designers, are we? Being visual is a gift. Most of us are good with speech or with words, but when it comes to visual, you've got to have an eye for it. And I think that's one of the things that impressed me about Relay. That is that I, as a programmer stroke writer, am able to create graphics which are, well, to my eyes, beautiful and functional and useful. And that's basically that. Or Relay is actually aimed at everyone, isn't it? It's not just a particular segment of the audience.
Yeah, and that's actually been a little bit of the challenge, because a lot of people, when you're saying creating a product, they say niche down and focus on a certain segment. But as we've been writing our sales copy and revamping our website, it's been kind of tricky to actually pick out these different verticals that this works for, because this works for everybody from a dentist that has a small office to a solopreneur that is kind of, creating these engaging images, all the way up to a business or an ad agency that's cranking out a lot of content. So I will say one thing. Well, the one thing we didn't mention, just in case people are wondering, I don't know if the comments show up, but the website's relaythat.com if you're curious about it, if someone wants to pop it in there. And then the other thing is that, I've been thinking a lot about the fact that there are a lot of these tools out there on mobile and desktop that help people create graphics. And I think one of the questions that is obvious to a lot of people, or that I hear a lot, is, well, what is different about Relay, and what sets you apart from a lot of the design tools? Because in all honesty, Stephen, we're going to be moving towards more and more of these types of tools. There's I think one that's called Legend now, that you can kind of do these animated ones. And actually, I was going to do that with Relay long term. But now that there's like 3 or 4 of those in that space, I don't know that I really want to compete. So what I've tried to do is define what makes Relay different, and why does it matter? And the answer to that is we kind of focus more on the results. And I'll go down a couple of those things without being too tech oriented. But, when you type in your words, or when you type in your content into Relay, we reuse that. So, for example, if you want to rank for a local niche, you can actually do that through SEO. You can add in the words that you want to rank for, and Relay will automatically help you rank by naming your images that. The second thing a lot of people have problems with is when they submit ads to Facebook and Instagram. Without getting too geeky here, there's a limit to the amount of text that you can put in there. And we've automated that process so that the text doesn't go outside the box. It's a 20% text rule is what they call it. And then a third thing is that all the layouts work within each other and all the content fits together. So in most graphic programs, when you add your content, you have to redo it or resize it or, repurpose it. In Relay, once you do it a single time, at a couple clicks of a button from start to finish, you can have all images for all platforms. So if you create one on Instagram, you can click a single button and download and publish all the other ones. And the most exciting thing that, I don't know if you saw this, that we just released, Stephen, is we've added in scheduling and sharing. So what that means is you can go in there and schedule something, and it will post to your Facebook group. It'll post to your Twitter feed. And since those assets are reusable, the way we've built the system, you can pre-propagate with your hashtag, or it will take the quote out of your image in the near future and post it into your tweet. So there's a lot of things that we're doing that take it beyond the simple design tool. And I will dare to say that it's not even a design tool. It's much more than graphics at this point.
I agree with you on that. In fact, if we just take a moment, I'd like to show a couple I made earlier.
Cool.
Just to show the point.
I was going to say, if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can type in /Q and then ask a question, or I don't know if we'll be opening up the seat later, but
yes, surely.
If anybody wants to chat or talk over in the sidebar there, feel free to answer any questions. The The other thing that is very important to me as the startup is to be really open with what we're doing and listen to our clients and our customers so that we can create the tools that are most helpful for them.
Well, this is the first graphic that I created when I went onto Relay, and it took me literally 5 minutes. And if I'd been trying to lay that out myself, it would have taken me hours. And following on from that, without entering any more information, I was able to create a second graphic straight away.
Yep.
And there were 20 or 30 graphics I could have chosen. That's the beauty of it, is that, as you say, you actually enter the information once, enter the text and upload the pictures once, and then the system itself takes them and it populates different layouts that you can use. So it takes away the hassle. Because
sorry. Go ahead, Stephen.
If you're going to do a campaign for a product or a service, then it means you can design all your graphics in one go, and then you can push them out on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And as Craig has said a moment ago, you can do that direct from the page without leaving the Relay that page. You can push your graphics forward and you can reuse them on Facebook anywhere you like. Now, that's just my example. And one final one, which I did today. And again, all I did was to upload 2 photographs. And if we go, be able to see that a bit better, you can do a lot of what to the layman are complicated routines. All the hassle is taken away. Anyway, I'll come back now, hopefully, if I can find Minicam somewhere. Right, and switch back. Okay.
There's a couple things that come to mind, and I'll try to answer some of these questions over the side here. So I think the biggest problem that I see with people is they spend a lot of time tweaking. So Relay is the anti-tweak tool. This is not the type of tool that you're going to go in and spend an hour creating a graphic, and you're not trying to create the Mona Lisa. And I think what happens is people overthink their content. They overthink their visual content. And my goal is to allow them to get in there, get out, create lots of graphics that they need in that moment. For example, when I was doing my podcast, I, as a graphic designer, went so deep. I would spend hours on these custom graphics. And what I found was it was nice, but at the end of the day, I needed more content. I needed more stuff for my feed. And when you're just starting out, or when you're a small business, you should not be spending an hour of your day creating graphics. Now, are each of the graphics in Relay, they're beautiful, and they're going to, convert, but it's just, moving things around and taking all that time. I think people are shooting themselves in the foot. So we're going to, as we evolve the layouts, they're going to look more and more automated, more and more beautiful. We're looking at adding in facial recognition so that the photo actually resizes and the object size of fit. We got to walk before we run. But even if you go in there right now, you can create, the one that you showed was infographic. You can create ebook covers. You can create podcast episode art. Obviously, the quotes are really popular. We have some in there actually for Blab and streaming in general, where you can turn it on and off and say you're doing a Periscope or Meerkat or Blab. You can actually create graphics really quickly to do that. We have over, I think there's 100 fonts in there. I think we're up to 300 layouts. By the end of the year, I want to be at over 500 layouts. So we're really growing very quickly. The only thing that is the bottleneck right now is just that we're kind of small and, kind of adding these things in as we go. But the one thing I will say, if you were showing those graphics, and the first one I noticed really didn't have any color in the circles. If you wanted to add color to that, we actually have across the top, you can click on themes that we just added. Right. And if you click a theme, it actually chooses its best guess for the fonts and the colors automatically at the click of a button, not just for that one layout, but for the entire platform. So if you're like, we have one in there I made called Morning Coffee. If you're doing a set of graphics that feel like they might want to be, mocha latte type vibe to them with, fancy script on it, you have a starting point with Relay at the click of a button. And through a couple of clicks, you could create those 5 graphics for all platforms with your message in it. So I really think that, to sum it up, Relay is more of an in-the-moment messaging tool. The one last thing I'll say about that, and then maybe take some questions here, is
Okay.
I was at a conference, and there was 4 speakers. There was a panelist, and by the time they had gone through their half-hour, presentation, I'd actually pulled quotes, loaded those up to Twitter and Facebook, and by the time they were done, it had already had like 5 or 6 shares, and they came back and they saw their feed blowing up around that graphic and around that hashtag for that event, and those kind of interactions get me excited and passionate, where people could use this in ways that I think are not currently being used.
Brilliant. Right, yeah, we'll open up the seat. If anybody wants to ask Craig a question, then all you need to do is to click the call in, which is shown below our pictures, and we're happy for you to come in live and ask Craig questions about Relay.
Yeah, I think Anita was asking about the screen sharing. I think are you using Manycam?
Yeah, I've got Manycam.
Yeah, I think that's Manycam, MANYCAM, Anita, if you want to look that up. And I'm not sure if Whetstone's going to jump in, but they said premium's not available yet. We do have one feature that we're working on, that's the bulk processing. It was the most powerful feature on the desktop version of that. When we release that, we're probably going to release the premium version. Right now, we have a couple different levels. And the one thing I will share as well is we've created, if you give, it's like a referral system in Relay. So if someone's not sure if they want to jump on and pay right away, or if they have a community that they want to share this with, they can actually do a promo code and invite people through email for now. And if someone comes in, well, first off, that person gets $20 credit to Relay immediately for free. Okay. And if they come in, they get $20 for their account. So if you had 12 people sign up, you would actually get a free year of Relay. If you just had one, you could have a free month to try it out. So we stole that right from Uber. We really liked how Uber did it. And it seems to be working really well for us if anybody wants to try that.
Wonderful. And there's also a 2-week introduction, free, isn't there? So you can try it out.
A 14-day trial. No credit card required. And to be honest with you, we're playing around with what we want to do with that when that expires. One of the graphics you showed there actually had our Relay that tag on it. Yeah. I'm not sure if I want to continue that or not. We're going to talk about what that looks like. But there's definitely free forever templates. And then there's the paid templates. And I think we've kept it really affordable. There are some tools out there that you can get in and do for free, so we're kind of following that model. But I think the power is going to really come when we add a few more of these scheduling features and sharing features. I think that's but we're open to, I think it's exciting, but I think we're open to also other suggestions as we go forward.
Yeah, well, what's coming across throughout this interview is your enthusiasm and your belief in Relay. And I'm a convert. I've got to tell you, it's super simple to use. It's got a great UI, and it's very friendly. And as a non-graphic person, I'm finding it easy. And I recommend anybody who has requirement for professional graphics, shareable graphics, to take a look at the system and play about, have a go, and make up your own mind. Now, one of the things about Blab, just to sideways at the moment, is getting people on screen. Mm-hmm. There seems to be a reticence to come on screen at times. Both Craig and I are friendly. There's only us two here. Just join us. Just press the button and join us, and give us your observation on graphics, and put your questions to Craig about Relay.
One of the things you mentioned, Stephen, and by all means, if anybody wants to come in, sometimes people are shy to get on camera, or maybe they're, business on top, casual on the bottom in their PJs, who knows what. But I really like the Blab's a really casual platform. But one of the things that you said was about the user interface and things like that.
Yeah,
we definitely, I think there's a lot of platforms out there that give you 100 filters, and then they give you, the ability to choose and move things around and everything like that.
Yeah.
we kind of wanted to take the decisions out of, the process, because if you could go in and, like with Relay, click a few buttons and have it look, 90% there, and then just make a few final tweaks.
Yeah.
I think that's really one of the problems people have when you give them too much control and too many options. It's overwhelming, and then they have to actually learn how to use it. With Relay, the case in point, or the I'm stumbling for words here, but the I'll just say it because I can't think of it. But I redid all of our training videos. I was able to explain the entire system from start to finish in 10 minutes. Each video was like 55 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's an example of why, we very intentionally made this platform as simple as possible and took out all the fluff so that people could get in there and they really didn't have to learn anything. I mean, when was the last time you could learn how to create 300 graphics in 10 minutes and then create them in 5? So that's really what we're moving towards.
Yeah, one of the first things I did when I joined the site 2 weeks ago was to actually go through the series of training videos. As you said, it's short, 1 minute, and you learn a new skill. And effectively, at the end of 10 minutes, you know how to use the whole system. And the thing is, you don't have to watch all 10 at one go. You can just do 2 or 3 at a time and do it at your own pace. But it is a very simple to use system. And it's got depth as well. If you are a graphic designer, then I dare say, I admit I'm not, and sorry about the graphics earlier, then you can use this tool to create very professional graphics. I mean, if you've got the skills to start with, then this is a brilliant set of tools for you to actually use.
Yeah, one of the features I really like is you can actually do accent fonts. And if you put brackets around any certain word, it will actually highlight that word. I think is like, when we had that, I was like, okay, this is next level stuff here.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of time, even as a designer, to do all that stuff. And then we're really focused on layouts that nobody else has. Like, we have a layout LinkedIn Pulse header, which I think a lot of people are starting to write articles on, for example.
Yeah, I'm blogging there.
Yeah, so we've been doing that as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've LinkedIn Pulse has come from nothing to being one of the best places to blog now. If you want to get eyes on what you're writing about, then LinkedIn Pulse is one of the better places to go. Now, if you were going to brand something, it would be an ideal tool to help with the branding, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people. So the other thing that I think a lot of people are noticing, or should be noticing, hopefully, is that businesses have a personality to them now. Basically taking your business and just trying to blast your message out, I don't think is working as well anymore. And there's this entire movement of inbound marketing where you want to attract people, you want to give them value and attract them to what you're doing. And a lot of people are creating signature fonts that they go like to make things consistent, so that when someone says, hey, Steven has this font, he has the League Gothic font and his signature blue color, that's Steven's thing. Rebecca Radis is a visual content expert, and she has her signature orange. So when people see her signature orange, they associate that with her. And the interesting thing is, I've noticed a lot of these brands going out, and one of them will associate themselves with, let's say, for a lack of a better term, someone is all about candy, right? Okay. And the interesting thing is that especially if you drill it down, let's say someone shares that they love M&Ms. When you go out into a store and you see a bag of M&Ms, you associate yourself with that person. And if the more you add about yourself and put in your own twist on your graphics, people will start associating those with you, I think, both subconsciously and consciously. There's this woman that's into Star Wars, and there's another guy that's into bacon. And now when I start thinking about those things, I think of those people. Yep. So I think coming up with a signature color font and then sharing what you're into through your graphics, sharing your message, people will start to think of you, and they'll feel much more comfortable doing business with you.
Yeah. And that stands for an individual as well as a company, public company. Any person who's in business and wants to be recognized and remembered, to have a unique style is one of the ways to get noticed, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. What's the future of Relay? You've hinted at one or two things that you're going to be doing. How do you see it developing over the next, say, 3 months? What sort of things are in the pipeline that are going to come into the system?
Well, right now we're mainly we have actually a lot of paying customers now, and we have about, I think, 1,500 people on our list, active users.
Okay.
So right now, my number one focus is eyeballs, connecting with people that write tech articles about it, journalists and PR agents, to get more people to find out about it.
Okay.
It's quickly, in about the next month, if not now, the fastest, easiest way to create graphics, but nobody knows about us. So really, the future of Relay is going to be dependent on people that have a big list or are sharing it or enthusiastic about it, sharing it with people and doing these interviews with you. Is going to be really helpful. As far as features, we want to start integrating with other platforms. And the interesting thing is, we could integrate with some of the tools that are out there, but what's happening is actually we're building the tool inside of Relay.
Okay.
So instead of integrating with a sharing platform or a scheduling platform or something that brings in content, we're just like, let's just build it and keep it all together. So we see in the next month or two, start to finish, create, schedule, and engage with your audience all in one place, and to have the analytics and the results around that so that people can just either dominate their market for their search terms, in image search, to take the pain out of getting their graphics online if they're doing advertising. I think Facebook advertising is going to be huge this next 6 months or so. So I think that's something that we're really interested in, with Twitter, Pinterest, all these promoted pins that are coming up. I think that we're going to focus our platform a little bit more on advertising. And then the final thing that I'm really excited about is just what I'd mentioned before in terms of that automation of centering up and resizing the content, pre-propagating your hashtag, just making it easier, because there's a lot of people out there that they just need, their time poor. Maybe like an author, for example, has a book that they're releasing. They don't have time to create 50 or 100 quotes to create all their different social media marketing. So this could be a huge time and money saver. Instead of, I'm definitely pro designer, but I think at the end of the day, when you're creating these headers and Facebook headers and things like that, I don't think that that's the key of what a really great designer wants to do. They would rather create the assets and the logo and the color scheme and the assets that go into Relay. But I don't think that they want to get the call at 2 a.m. saying, hey, Facebook changed their size of their Facebook header. Can you redo all these for my campaign? So so I think that's a few things of where I think we're heading.
Right. Okay, we have a question which I'll bring in from Angelica.
Okay.
Will I also be able to create backdrops for the homepage on my company's website?
I'm not sure what platform. When she says website, I'm assuming she's just meaning for her header. I'm not sure if she means the tileable wallpapers that go in the backdrop. I don't think she would be, because those are just wallpapers that you can download if you find a texture or something like that. If she's talking about the backdrops of the headers, the one challenge with websites is they're all different shapes and sizes. But we do want to kind of build out. We have the Twitter and the Facebook, Google Plus. We have all the different headers represented, but we want to do more of those for websites and blogs. Those graphics that go ahead of an article are called the hero images, and we have lots of those as well. She's saying header. So the header is a little challenging because there is no standard size for it, especially when someone's downloading different themes. but I think that we could definitely create something that's like best practice header. We do have what's called leaderboard graphics in there and skyscraper graphics that go onto the side of a website.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of our current layouts could be used as a header. But as far as creating a one size fits all, it's not like Facebook where they say it is 851 by 315 and it's a perfect size and it fits. Since websites are all different responsive sizes, we will probably create one that people could use and kind of see if it fits. And if not, we can get feedback from the community, which we love to do, and then build out those different sizes of headers for websites.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing I noticed today. You do have an active online community as well, don't you, behind Relay?
Yeah, I'd like to grow it into an actual forum or something like that. But the reality is that everybody hangs out on Facebook in these Facebook groups. So we have a really active Facebook group when we roll out things, when someone wants to share things. It always makes me really happy when someone comes in there and they're like, I made my first relay and I want to share it with everybody.
Yeah.
And yes, by the way, we call these relays. So the whole brand, I spent, probably, I don't want to think about how many hours I spent thinking of this name, but, Rapid Image for me just didn't have the zing to it. And relay has that kind of verb, noun, like you can use it in different ways.
Yeah.
And then we've actually appropriated it as the people are called relayers. They create relays, and you don't share content, you relay it to someone. Gotcha. So it's an exciting brand to be a part of, and I'm looking forward to it growing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Relay is an action word, isn't it? I'm actually taking action. One question that just occurred to me whilst you were talking is that you said graphic designers are going to design a company's brand. Obviously, before they go to a graphic designer, people can use Relay to actually try out their own ideas, so they can take a suite of suggestions along to the designer, so give an idea of what they're looking for. When the design is finished, can they then pull the finished graphics back into Relay?
So, Relay is more of an asset layout tool, where you're adding your assets to it. So it's not really something where a graphic designer is creating a trifold brochure and you're bringing that into Relay. One of the things you asked about the future of Relay, it might be interesting for us to get into print and business cards, depending on what people are doing. And, wouldn't it be cool to be able to print up 20 of your quote graphics and, just kind of create those? I think that's a pretty lofty goal. And there's a lot of people like Vistaprint that do that really well already. So I think we'll probably just end up focusing on the online space. But with that being said, I think that there may be in the future, let's say we got approached by Dunkin' Donuts here locally, and they said, listen, we love Relay, and we have all these franchises that we want to roll out these graphics. We want this consistent look, but we have some brand guidelines. Or maybe a realtor would come in and say that. Imagine white labeling Relay or kind of creating a version where Dunkin' Donuts or a realty company that had 200 people could log in and are presented with and locked down a list of 20 layouts where they say, these are the realtor layouts that our Keller Williams team is going to use. And then you drag and drop and do that. So I think that kind of creating that graphic design tool for not only specific industries, which we're already doing, but for specific companies is probably one of the more exciting things of where Relay could go, to be honest with you.
Certainly, I can see a definite market there. Now, just checking to see if we have any questions. We seem to be...
Someone, I apologize, I don't know her first name. I'd have to look it up here. But she says, "Say It Forward" is a great campaign. Yeah, I love Sandra. She's doing some awesome stuff. She did an interview with me as well. So we have a question. When I put my header in, want my social media site, does it actually redesign and fit to say Facebook, Twitter, or does it just stretch out? No, it actually, so this is a little quirky thing that I have, and I'm not sure how I feel about it because it might be a little too far removed, but I actually like stacking Russian dolls for some reason. And I have a little collection of them. So I've actually when you go into Relay, there's a stacking Russian doll icon, and
Right.
when you click it, it resizes for all platforms. So
Brilliant.
everything is perfectly optimized for every platform. If you've created a 1x2 wide graphic for Twitter, you click that stacking nesting Russian doll thing, and it actually will immediately show you the skinny banner version, the Pinterest tall version, the Facebook and Instagram square version, and there is no other tool out there right now that does this. It is the most forward thinking thing, I think, that I've been working on it personally, that feature, for about 6 months. And the difference with Relay, you have to know, is that everything is designed in real time. So as you're designing something, all 300 other layouts are designed at the same time. So it's not a matter of, resizing and doing something and tweaking it and making it fit right. It's already there. You're just being served. You're just like at the click of a button, it shows you those, and then you just pick the ones you want. So I would much prefer looking at 20 designs and saying, I really like number 13, as opposed to redesigning something from scratch and kind of moving it around and then left justifying it, and does this fit here? I think that's the power of, while there are, one limitation of not moving things around, I think that's actually a blessing in disguise for most people, because when you give someone the power to move something around, it can get really messy. So
that's true. Give people more than 10 choices and they'll be there all day. But I think, thank you, Doug, for the question. Mm-hmm. And we'll move on to the next question, which is one I've been expecting for a little time. It's a very simple question, really. Sure. But you've covered it in detail, why Relay is special and the features that Relay has that aren't available anywhere else. But Greg's question is Relay similar to Canva?
Yeah, so we had kind of touched on this indirectly a little bit, and it's definitely a question I get from here, from time to time, like when people are using a platform that they're familiar with. So there is Canva, PicMonkey, WordSwag, Legend. Like, there's all kinds of tools out there that a lot of people are using. Relay is only similar to Canva in the sense that it creates graphics for different platforms and social media. But in all honesty, I think that's where the similarities stop. If you go into Relay and sign up for a free trial, there's no credit card required. You can immediately see the power of adding your content once, and everything becomes it's kind of like a chameleon. Everything becomes your brand. So I don't think that Canva would ever be able to do that, because they've already developed their platform and they're already going in a certain direction, and their mission statement is to teach people how to design. I would say that our mission statement is not to teach people how to design. It is to help people be more productive, save time and money. And that's like our driving factor. It's about sharing your moment quickly and not overthinking and tweaking your design. And when you remove the design, the ability for people to make too many decisions, it allows them to make beautiful graphics very quickly. So I think that's where Relay, along with all the other features, I think I've defined at this point at least 10 different features that Relay does that no other tool does.
Right.
And shared content, search engine optimized images, resizing things at the click of a button. There's I'm trying to think of all of them real quick, but we went over a lot of them. And we're going to be launching a new website here in about maybe sometime next week. And it's going to have all these features and details. But the easiest way to experience it is just to go in, watch there's 10-minute, there's I think 15 different videos that equal only 10 minutes. Once you get a free account, go in there and watch that 10 minutes worth of video. And I think that you would immediately see how this is different than every other tool out there.
Thank you. Right. Well, it's been brilliant with the questions. If there are any more questions,
yeah, I want to do. Anita says that Canva at Work does exactly that.
Okay.
Actually, it is different, Anita. Canva for Work, when you press a button, it actually tries to automate it and fit it for the different platforms, and you do have the ability to choose those, but you do have to move things around sometimes. and it depends on what your goal is with those graphics. It's not in real time, so it is a little bit different.
Thank you for the question, Anita.
Mm-hmm.
Right, is anybody want to pop in and ask a question? We'll might be able to cajole somebody, but you never know.
No, that's cool. No problem, Greg. He said he just joined. That's what happens with these with the labs. You kind of see something that you want to get involved with, and then like you're not sure what has been said or not. So no problem.
Okay. Right. Well, as I say, I've really enjoyed using Relay, and I think it's a very useful, friendly way to create shareable graphics. If there are no more questions, is there anything you'd like to say before we?
Well, I think the one thing that you know, I think the one thing I need to get a little bit better at. I think, to be honest with you, and I'm more of a tech person, kind of coming from a 3D animation background. I think I need to figure out a way to explain the power of shared assets with people, because you know we're talking about the difference of some of these platforms where you can resize things, right?
Yeah.
And the difference with Relay is once you click a button and resize it, that, you know, on other platforms is a dead end road. If you change one of those things, it's not going to retroactively, you know, change the ones before it. So for example, we have a archive and a recall button. And what that means is, and this is kind of hard, like it's easy to show someone, but it's a little hard to explain sometimes. But every time you publish an image, it saves it in an archive for you.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do then is you can go back, you know, to something you created a week before. And let's say that we've added a new size for that or something like that. You can actually bring back those assets, and every asset reacts to what you had created, the colors, the fonts, the images that you have in there. So it's the best, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an analogy, but the best way I could describe it is in most ways that you design things, imagine a tree and you're creating a leaf on that tree. The rest of the tree is not going to react to what you made a change. With Relay, you can actually take that leaf and prune it and then design it and customize it. But if you add it back to the tree, all the other leaves will look like that, resized and changed based on what you've done. Then imagine 300 leaves where you can prune each one of those individually. I think I need to make an explainer video that that shows this.
Right, but
it truly is the most powerful way to create graphics in terms of productivity, because you can create 90% of an image just in a few clicks, but then they also have the granular control to change and tweak a couple things. So you have kind of those two worlds of, do I want to create a lot of graphics quickly that all look similar and are sized for the different platforms, or do I want to create just this one graphic that has a lot more style to it and control as a designer?
Got it. Right. Okay. We have more questions. So the next question is from Greg. Would this be useful for creating graphics for website banners?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, Greg. I think that one of the verticals that we want to go after, you know, and the interesting thing is we thought that this, at least I personally thought, this was going to be more for solopreneurs like me. I believe that this is actually, while they can use it, I think this is going to be really powerful for small businesses. I'm always in awe of the number of people that don't know what PicMonkey, Canva, WordSwag, any of these platforms are. You go to a pizza shop down the way, they want to be on social media and they want to share their specials and all this stuff, but they don't know anything about this online space. So to answer Greg's questions, you know, one of the things that I think is really powerful with Relay versus other platforms is I have personally indicated what layouts are missing in this space, and advertising banners and things like that I think are missing. So we actually have a section called advertising, and this is, you know, I skimmed over this feature a little bit earlier, but you can add text into Relay and it will actually focus more on keeping it at the right proportion so it's not overbearing and not over salesy. Especially for platforms like Facebook and Instagram, we have a grid system that keeps it under the 20%. But to answer Greg's question more succinctly, we do have leaderboard graphics. I actually did a lot of research on the 3 sizes that were biggest converting. And I think one of them was like, 60%, and the other 2 were like 40 and 30 or whatever. And then everything else was 1%. So I focused on the 3 sizes that are the biggest, the best converting graphics for advertising. And those are the 3 sizes that we've implemented into Relay.
Right. Wonderful. And thank you, Greg, for the question. And the questions are coming thick and fast now. Here's one that we can both say something about. Can you use one of the other Blab boxes and do a demo of the system, Greg?
I think it would be underwhelming, to be honest with you. I've thought about doing that, but since this crops it in a square, I'd have to zoom in, and it would be really like at the size of Relay. Honestly, Doug, I would just jump in there. Like this is not a money grab for us. There's no credit card or anything like that. Right now, we're just trying to get eyeballs on the product. So if you're willing to give us your email, at least just jump in there and you can see 10 minutes worth of video that very succinctly shows you from start to finish all the different things. So I wouldn't be shy about signing up. I'm not trying to push you in that direction, but I think it would be really underwhelming to show these features. And it would be better to watch me do the training video in 10 minutes than to spend a half hour on here trying to muddle about. One of the other questions over here, just kind of jump through these to be respectful of people's time. Barb says she brings in her own graphics, right? The auto feed of graphics from Pixabay. So we want to build that out, and we're going to be connecting those in. But to be honest with you, Barb, one of the things that happens with these other platforms, when you get a lot of people using the same images and having access to the same stock photography, I believe that everything starts to look the same. So to be honest with you, we're trying to empower people. It's a little bit of a nudge, but if someone can develop their own, their own signature color and make those decisions, and heck, go out with your iPhone, take pictures of fall leaves or take pictures of textures that go with your brand. I always think that's much better than going and trying to find stock photos that everybody and their aunt and uncle have used on every graphic. I think that is one of the probably most underutilized things with creating visual graphics is it doesn't have to be complicated. Just go out and take photos of things that inspire you and take photos of things that inspire your audience, and your brand is going to be that much more sticky. And I think, one thing I'll say without, going too far off on this topic, people think of logos and they call that their brand, and they call the content that they do their brand and everything like that. The brand is actually what your audience says about you. It's the tweet that they said. It's the way they feel, when they think of you and the service that you provide. So one of the things I really want Relay to be known for is to help empower people to spread their message. Because I think there's so many people out there like podcasters or people that are interviewing people. And like we could go through these interviews on Blab and probably pull out 20 different quotes and put those into Relay and blast those out and be on all different platforms very easily. I think there's so many people that have the power to share their message and the power to share the messages of others that they interact with. But those amazing insights are falling to the editing floor because it takes too much time to create those graphics. So that's kind of, what I would like to be, what I'd like Relay to be known for, to be honest with you.
Right, and we're right on to the next question, and another question that I was expecting, an important question from Greg. Who owns the copyright for these images that are produced using Relay?
So think of Relay more as a framing tool or a frame that you hang on the wall. Since you're creating the images, you own the copyright to the images, and you can brand them as heavily or as not as heavy as you want. But, the one thing you don't want to do is bring in copyrighted images in. I would not take and this is actually, I don't want to go too deep into this, Stephen, but, go ahead.
No, we're both on the same page as importing copyright images is not a very good idea, because down the road you're going to get problems. I think if we turn Greg's question round, we use Relay to create an image. And that image is one that we want to use widely on websites, on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram. Who owns the image that we've created on Relay?
I think the creators. So,
yeah,
I think that, in our privacy policy, we have something in there that says that we have the ability to promote it because we like to show off our customers and lift them up. But as far as the copyright, it's not like Facebook where if you upload content, we own. And to be clear, I'm not a legal person, but I was a photographer for 7 years. When you create something, you own the copyright to that. There really isn't, we're not a company that's trying to take people's work that they've created in Relay and say it's our own. And what would we do that with that anyway? What are we going to do with something that says someone else's website? Like there really is, as far as the images that people use and things like that, we're not here to try and claim ownership of those at all. And that's something that I feel very strongly about. The interesting thing is that there's a lot of tools out there that will take a picture of Grumpy Cat, throw text on top of it and call it their own. And it's a really weird time right now where there's a movement of people that feel like they can take content and remix it. And I think that we're all in this experiment to see where that goes, to be honest with you, because there's arguments for both sides. There's arguments for a lot of amazing art that has been created out of remixing things. And then, there's a lot of argument for if you take 3 seconds from, there's this artist that takes mashups of content, and he takes 3 seconds here, 10 seconds here of, Jay-Z and all these different songs. And I don't know, it's, he's making millions of dollars off of other people's content. So, that could be a whole nother blab, which I won't get into, but, I'll make sure we move it along here. He says, can your images be saved in different file formats? So right now we have JPEG. We started with PNG, and each file was 3 or 4 megabytes. So what we want to do is we actually want to offer that to an option for people that want that high quality. But I think most people don't want to deal with a 4 megabyte image for every time they create something. The thing we didn't have at the beginning was the sharing, though. So what we want to do is we want to move the heavy workload to us and share PNGs, because those usually look a little better online depending on what it is. Especially for Facebook headers, I've noticed they get crunched a little bit in terms of the compression. So we will be giving that option here in the near future, Greg. Let's see. Someone else says, do you have a YouTube channel with videos showing the inside without signing up first? I don't currently have that, Barb. I actually just made these videos. What I do want to do, though, is we want to start making YouTube videos that feature the industries and the companies. So, for example, if a photographer, a dentist, or a realtor, what we want to do is say, hey, here's how you create graphics on, here's how we create a Facebook header graphic for a realtor. And we want to start creating those business graphics, those graphics for businesses, showing them exactly how to use it. And the other thing we're doing is building pages specifically why these verticals would want to use that. So if I'm a podcaster and I'm coming in here, I would like to see a page that says, this is how podcasters are using it. This is how they're, winning in the feed. This is how you create the graphic. But I kind of had to start with training videos that are a little bit more generic, from that point. And if I'm being honest too, we want people to use this tool, and I understand that people want to see it first. That's kind of why we're building out the web page, to share a lot more behind the scenes of the features before they get in there. We just haven't done that yet. We'll probably be releasing that this week if you're tentative about signing up. Okay, and there'll be a link on your site to that, so people go to Relay that. Yeah, Barb had a follow-up question. So she says, can we create a video and show it on YouTube? I'd be happy if someone wants to share this. Right now, we're just looking for eyeballs, and if you would love to be honest with you, Barb, if you want to share something about how you use it, I would love that. Like, this is the whole point of why I wanted a community to create these relays and share how they're using it. I think that's awesome. So, I have limited bandwidth of what I can do and the vision that I have. And reach out to me directly if you've made something. I'd love to see the reaction of your community, see how you're using it, because I think that people are creating some really cool things with Relay. And I always like to lift that up on our Instagram and Facebook pages for sure.
Yeah. I'm getting a great sense of team relay, behind the scenes, supporting everybody and helping everybody.
Yeah.
And the next question actually was posted by Greg. I know it says it's from me, but the question is: can your images be saved in different formats? You talked about PNG. You just answered that one?
I did. Yeah. Sorry, I've been trying to jump ahead.
Right.
And,
okay. Sorry. I was the thing about Blab.
That was the first time I've seen that question thing come in, so that's kind of cool. I sorry if I was jumping ahead.
No, you're okay. I mean, there's so much going on in the Blab that occasionally it's very difficult to control it. I mean, when I run Blabs during the week, I do them two-handed. We run a Blab on Thursdays, which is called Blabbing for Britain, because what we're actually trying to do is get people in the UK onto Blab.
Oh, okay.
So we run two-handed, and one of us takes care of the questions, the other one does the interviewing, and that makes things. So if things are a bit choppy today, you have my apologies, but it's certainly a very interesting conversation that we're having. Are there any more questions that you'd like to put to Craig? Well, we have the opportunity, and we're in full flow. Right. Okay. Next question is from Anita. Thank you, Anita. Is there a way to tweak layout at all? Or are they static?
I touched on this a little bit earlier. We will be adding that feature in. It's a little bit tricky right now because if you could think about this for a second, because all of the content fits and is linked to other content, we're working on a way where you could actually move something around in that in a specific layout, but it wouldn't affect the other layouts. The problem is that if you could imagine a square, and then I bring in some, let's say my hand is the content. Okay. If people move it around and kind of size it incorrectly, it could really mess up the design and the layout. You could have empty space and things like that. So for now, we simply wanted to give people a couple of different choices versus encouraging them to move things around. And that's a feature that we need to build out once we get a little bit more of a foundation in the layouts and what layouts are working. We actually have analytics that show us what layouts are being used the most. Mm-hmm. So we, long term, we would like to kind of lift those up and say, hey, here's all the featured layouts that people are getting the best engagement with. Here's the ones that people are reacting to. So that's definitely a feature that we'll probably be building, Anita. She said, I wish I could screen share. I've done it, how it looks. The picture doesn't work in the layouts, but yeah, so it's definitely something that we're looking at in terms of moving the content around. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing to have the ability to do that. And definitely some content works different than others. For example, if you're going to do a picture of someone in an interview with their head, you wouldn't want to upload a photo of them off to the right, in the corner of the photo. You'd want to crop it in. So the one thing we might be doing is having a cropping tool where you can remove outside of an asset, not within the layout, but you could crop it and then it could propagate out to all the layouts. So it's an awesome question, and I'm happy to get some feedback with that. Thank you.
And the next one is an idea, perhaps. Is there a Pinterest page that shows what people have done? Now, obviously, people have to make their graphics public, but is that something you thought about?
Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome thought. We have a Pinterest page, we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter page. So we have all those. Kind of going back to the bandwidth thing, I just haven't had a chance to propagate those out and collect everything. And I've looked at ways that actually we could create shareable content where I might do a Google spreadsheet, for example, and everybody uploads their quotes, and then we actually just blast out a bunch of them. As well as once we get a little bit more foundation from paying members, as time goes on, we're going to be hiring people that it's their sole job to be, collect these relays and put them into feeds. And I think it's exciting because you'll be able to lift up your customers in a very authentic way, I think. So,
yeah.
I think I would assume it's just relaythat.com/Pinterest, but or I'm sorry slash
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Pinterest.com/relay that. Everything is relay that in this world of like we went with that, even though the app is called Relay because we didn't get relay.com. So, and I kind of liked the action verb of just saying relay that as well. So.
Excellent. Excellent. It looks
Cool. I would that would be awesome, Barb. I really appreciate that. I've been working on this project for a pretty long time, working on my mindset of building up a startup, and it's been a good journey. Like, you know, I have the vision way beyond what I could build as fast as I can build it. You know, but the power of having a community around something, I firmly believe that this is going to be really big. And I would say I'm actually going to Social Media Examiner's event next year, Social Media Marketing World.
Oh, right.
And my goal is to make a real splash there for a lot of people that are struggling with social media, as well as just reaching out to, you know, different people that represent small businesses, small business expos, Chamber of Commerce, nonprofit organizations. I think that there are a lot of industries that we've indicated that, you know, when we're living in this world of online marketing and we know how to use social media, sometimes we forget that there are a lot of people out there, probably 80% of the people that wouldn't even know that you could, you know, how you would upload a photo to Twitter and why it needs to be wide versus square. And we want to be, you know, the company that helps the little guy and the little girl building their business and or has the small business that really wants to make an impact on social media, but doesn't have the bandwidth. You know, maybe they hired their niece or nephew to do their social media, but, you know, none of them know about these different tools out here. So I want to be very clear that we're not really trying to compete with anyone. We're trying to create features that fill a gap, and we're trying to not be everything to everyone. We're trying to create really easy tools that, you know, one of the taglines we have is click, type, done. And my goal is if you can click something and if you can type text and drag and drop photos, you're done with your graphics. So that's kind of our mission statement, if you will.
Right. On to the next question then. And question from Bob. Is your startup well-funded or bootstrapping? I know we went over this earlier, but it's good to reprise at this point.
No, it's a great question. Barb, we're actually totally bootstrapped, and it's fully funded by paying customers. So, you know, there really wasn't any money put into this that was, you know, I think this idea will work, so I'm going to throw some money at it. The entire company, I won't go into the details of how much we've made already, but, you know, we do have a lot of paying customers, and I think that if we were funded and could just throw a couple $1 million at it, we would grow a lot more quickly. But then the problem is we would be beholden to other people's ideas and the way that they would want to build the app. And I have a very clear vision of what I want this to be now and who I want to help. And I don't want to mix. I don't want to try and grow it too quickly. I think that one of the downsides of having money that I've learned in the startup world recently is it allows you to make mistakes and just assumptions with, you know, money and building things that don't matter and don't matter to your customers. So I've been trying to bootstrap this and build out, like, if you ever talk to anybody in my community, you can find the Facebook group. You can kind of see who's in there if you look for Relay. If you ever talk with any of those people, they will tell you that they'll come up with an idea for a layout. They'll say, hey, have you thought about this? And I'll go ahead and build that for them. So I think one of the powers of being a small startup is being able to directly react to your customers in that moment too. So my door is always open. People can email me directly with ideas or suggestions. And I'm happy to kind of create the tool that everybody wants. So
that's brilliant. I mean, it is a wonderful exception to the rule in that if you wanted to contact somebody who's directly involved with creating a product, sometimes it can be very difficult. So it's great that people can actually contact you.
I'll give Barb the short version. It's how do I condense everything? So basically it's bootstrapped and it's paid for by the customers. So it's I think if you're writing a book about creative financing, I think the quote or the thing that I've learned is that if you believe in something, someone should be able to pay you for it to build that thing if you're solving a pain point. And that was definitely my experience in terms of I didn't want to just throw money at this or get funding, because I wanted this company to be built on the trust and the ability for people to kind of have a piece of it and invest in the early stage of it. So
right, well that is a very clear answer and a very clear direction that you're going in.
I think Barb and I will be we're kind of cut from the same cloth. I love crowdfunding, and I love that.
Right.
If anybody wants to check out my podcast, it's not an active podcast, but it's modernpreneur.com. And you can kind of see the arc of, the graphics that I was creating. And, it's been very interesting for me to just kind of look back and see where I came from and why I was creating this. And what I identified with was I'm a maker, and I wanted to make something really unique that nobody else had in the world. And that was kind of my, not really a legacy, but at this time in my life, I've spent my whole life creating small businesses and kind of helping others just through creating art and content and design and photography for them. I wanted to move into something where I could impact more lives. And that was really important for me in building this company. Like I said, it's not a money grab. I'm not living off ramen noodles right now to make this happen. I've just kind of leveraged the hard work that I've done in my life and the knowledge that I've gained, and I've been very thankful for that. And I wanted to create something that it is a for-profit company, but the side note to that is I've always rooted for small businesses my whole life. I've done small businesses and freelancing my whole life. I truly wanted to create something that helped people be more productive and save time and money. And then once I get beyond this first one, I do have other ideas that I think will be very disruptive and impactful. But obviously, you got to focus on the one that until you kind of have that bigger vision.
Yeah, I agree, and it's been wonderful to talk to you. It is wonderful. We're still going. Are there any more questions that people have, which Craig can answer?
Yeah, I think this was awesome, Steve, and I think we're probably an hour's about the hour 15 minutes about the lifespan of a Blab. Although some people do them for 6 hours.
True. We could probably go that long, but I don't think. Right. Another question from Greg. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Where are you based? Where are you located?
I'm here in Boston. So I think that one of the things I'm thankful for is to be in an area where I have access to a lot of people. But I think that anybody's looking to do a startup, that shouldn't stop you. Obviously, there's all kinds of ways to connect online with people. I think that being able to meet people in person, though, and build a team is going to be nice here in Boston versus being out in the middle of nowhere. That I think is going to be helpful. But to be honest with you, once I got heads down about what this idea was, I really don't interact with my environment much. I'm just I know that sounds a little pitiful, but I've just been working 18 hours a day to get this get these new features and layouts and everything like that. So but yeah, I hope to go to a lot of conferences next year and meet a lot of people in person. But Blab has been a great way to connect with people. If this is anybody's first time, this is an amazing platform to really talk to people and remember them. And you'll see their little avatar later that you'll go in and you'll get to really know people. So so it sounds like we'll probably be wrapping this up unless anybody has any final questions. The website is relaythat.com. I'd be grateful if you go in there and give me some feedback and check it out. It's not the perfect tool for everybody. Some people are going to want to spend a lot more time creating graphics. And we're moving towards creating more and more features that make the graphics better and more features and faster and easier. I think it's a really, I probably wouldn't have said this a couple months ago, but it's a really fine-tuned, really slick piece of software right now. But you got to kind of create it as you go and launch as you go. I think it's really going to help a lot of people. So I'm excited to get it out there more.
Well, as I said earlier, I really enjoyed using it for 2 weeks before we had this interview. I shall continue to do so and continue to recommend it. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. You're certainly committed to what you're doing, and I salute your beliefs and wish you every success going down the road. We'd like to thank everyone who's joined us over the past hour and a quarter. We'd like to thank everyone for their questions, and we look forward to seeing you on Blab in the future. As Craig just said, Blab is a fantastic platform. It's where you can learn things, it's where you can interact, it's where you can ask those questions and get a response and be able to get involved. I just say thank you, Craig.
The pleasure was all mine, Stephen. And now that we've had this interaction, I really hope we can connect more and more, in the internets as well as here in the Blab. And this is an awesome chat, and I really appreciate it.
Right. Well, good night or good afternoon, everybody. We've really enjoyed being with you. We look forward to seeing you possibly on a future Blab, in other Blabs. Have a good rest of your day. And Craig, final thanks.